This is evidence 3 of the course Contemporary World by Camilo Sonotirado. Before we start talking about themes like globalization, terrorism, etc., we have to mention important events of the last decades. In the chronological line, first we have in 1949, Indonesia gets independence. The communists capture power in China. Years later, in 1957, the first artificial satellite launched by Russia. In 1967, Chinese explode hydrogen bomb. Arab-Israel war. Suez Canal closed. In 1983, US attacks Grenada. USA withdraws from UNESCO. In 1989, the fall of the Berlin Wall happens. 5 days after 500,000 people gathered in East Berlin in a mass protest that the Berlin Wall dividing Communist East Germany from West Germany crumbled. In 1990, the Panamanian president surrenders to the United States. South Africa leaves land on African National Congress. Lithuania declares independence from the Soviet Union. Namibia becomes a free nation. Iraq overruns Kuwait. East and West Germany's unite. Now we are going to pass to describe the following terms: globalization, terrorism, unipolar world, and digital era. Globalization is a word used to describe the growing interdependence of the world's economies, cultures, and populations brought about by cross-border trade in goods and services, technology, and flows of investment, people, and information. Now we have terrorism. Terrorism is defined by the FBI as violent criminal acts committed by individuals and/or groups who are inspired by or associated with designated foreign terrorist organizations or nations, state-sponsored. Now we have unipolarity. Unipolarity in international politics is a distribution of power in which one state exercises most of the cultural, economic, and military influence. Unipolar systems possess only one great power and face no competition. If a competitor emerges, the international system is no longer unipolar. Last but not least, we have the concept of digital era. Digital era is a period where a shift process occurs from industrial-based to an information-based economy, using computer or other technology devices as a medium of communication. Now, after thinking deeply about each concept, we have to answer some questions that are the following. Why did the globalization emerge? The globalization is a consequence of a lot of historical events of the last century. It took a long way for the globalization to happen. One of the reasons was the need of exchanging products and goods, and also the need to connect the world. What caused the terrorist attacks of the 20th century? The terrorism started mostly because of the need of other nations to prove something. First, encourage empathy for their unfair country situation. Also, to demonstrate the inability of the state to provide security. In other words, it is because terrorists want to send a rebel message with brutality and blood. How does the end of the Cold War relate with the unipolar world? As long as the Soviet Union was present till 1991, there used to be a rough balance of power. That is, America couldn't just go about doing things on its way without getting resistance from the Soviet Union. But after the Soviet Union collapsed, the newly emerged Russia was financially weak and in debt, so it didn't have too much power to intervene in matters of the world. America, on the other hand, had lots of financial resources and could still carry on its interests across the world. Thus, after the fall of the Soviet Union, the balance of power shifted towards the US. This led to an unipolar world. Though Russia has pulled itself together, after that it didn't stay too much relevant. How has the digital era influenced today's society? First, we are becoming addicts to social media and 100% dependent on electronic devices. They are almost a need for living normal lives nowadays. We need them for education. We order food with them. We transport with apps, etc. We are depending a lot on them. In general, I think that technology makes everything more easy, saving us time and effort that we can use in other things. But in some cases, it's making people more lazy than they usually were. Now, we can't live without technological devices. As a conclusion, now I can understand how the historical events that happened in the past, make the present. Thanks for watching.